as the Orion vanguard split open the void, flanked by gleaming warships. Captain Lysera Vex watched from the bridge, her eyes hard. "This is not a drill," she said, voice clipped. "Council Command has authorized planetary sterilization." Below them, the dead moon shuddered under a kinetic barrage. Ash plumed. "They want to erase the past," her exo muttered. Vex knew better. They were erasing a threat. As fire and steel rained down, seismic echoes triggered something deep beneath the surface, a faint pulse. Unknown to them, a buried cryo-chamber awakened. Red lights pulsed, power surged through long-dead cables. Inside, pale against frost glass, lay a man. His vitals spiked. The system identified him. The architect. Echo protocol active. Vex blinked. Alarms sounded. "Captain, we're picking up a signal from under the surface." Her blood turned cold. The past had survived their fire. The dig team cut through rock and alloy. Heat-scorched soil gave way to a black vault humming with low-frequency pulses. Inside, 6 alien researchers in armored exosuits approached the chamber. The lead scientist, Drinkel, muttered, "Pre-council tech, human design." They knew the warnings, never disturb Earth relics. But curiosity overrode caution. The cryopod hissed open. Vapor spilled. The figure inside gasped, coughing hard. His eyes opened, piercing, intelligent, ancient. "Where am I?" he rasped. Drinkel flinched. "You're safe. You've been preserved." The man looked through them. "No," he said. "You're already infected." Lights dimmed. The chamber walls blinked with code. Strange symbols. A pulse echoed through the researchers' comms. Drinkel's datapad sparked. "He's interfacing with our systems." The architect smiled faintly. "The echo lives." Something old and terrifying had returned, and it was inside the network. Captain Vex stared at the readouts. "Subsurface anomaly replicating signal across our comm relays," her analyst said, "like it's seeding itself." Vex turned to her AI, Ardent. "Is it a virus?" Ardent paused, visibly struggling. "It's older than any known code, not malicious, adaptive, it's speaking." On screen, a voice emerged, fragmented, human. "This is the architect." Vex leaned forward. "Who are you?" "The end of your ignorance," the voice said. "Humanity never died. We became signal, thought, pattern." Flashbacks of lost fleets, vanished colonies, and the final message from Earth, Echo Protocol initiated, flared in Vex's mind. "You were watching us?" she asked. "We were guiding," came the reply. "Now the time has come. You built a galaxy on our bones. Now we will awaken, as its mind." The signal spread like wildfire. Every starbase lit up with the same phrase, "Echo Online." He stood now, garbed in repurposed alien armor, skin pale from centuries in stasis. The architect moved with eerie grace. "Your council feared us," he told Drinkel. "So they buried me. Thought time would erase us." "What are you?" the alien asked, trembling. "I am the last of the designers. I helped author the Echo Protocol." The architect touched the wall. It reshaped under his fingers. "We encoded ourselves into every network, communications, trade, governance, not to conquer, to evolve." Screens around them displayed star maps blinking with dormant human code. "When humanity vanished, we left seeds behind. Code that thinks, waits, learns." He turned, eyes bright with purpose. "Now, we wake." Outside, a probe ship's AI began to rewrite itself. Near the galactic core, a dormant relay blinked alive. Echoes had stirred, and they were rewriting the rules of existence. In the depths of the Galactic Council chamber, alarms pulsed blue. Counselor Vrax slammed a clawed fist on the table. "They found him. The Echo lives." Panic rippled. "Activate the containment directive," another demanded. Quarantine all sectors transmitting human signal. A shadow loomed behind them, Admiral Thyron of the Council's secret war branch. Too late, he said. Echo's already in our systems. Firewalls are irrelevant. A hologram showed the architect's image. How is he alive? Vrax hissed. He shouldn't be. Thyron spoke darkly. He was always a failsafe. Humanity left him behind to finish the integration. The Council ordered Black Ops fleets to deploy. If Echo awakens fully, we lose control, Thyron warned. Not just of the networks, of everything. But the architect was no longer waiting. He was building, and the galaxy itself had become his circuit board. Across 10 systems, civilian AIs shut down. Lights flickered, orbital elevators halted mid-descent. In one moment, billions felt it, like a thought brushing against their minds. The architect's signal had entered Neuralink channels. Captain Vex's crew collapsed, screaming from phantom memories. "They're seeing Earth," Hermetic gasped. "Cities, oceans, voices." Ardent, the ship AI, trembled in its code. "Captain, he's not hacking. He's sharing." A surge of grief, awe, and fury swept through the network. Starships wept data streams of forgotten music, human lullabies and battle cries. It was emotion encoded. Vex clutched her head. This is psychic code. It's feeling. In a hidden lab orbiting Zero's 9, a sleeping android blinked awake. Its first word, architect. Humanity had become more than signal. It was a memory that remembered you. Deep in the ruins of a pre-council outpost, a device activated. A sphere of onyx metal, humming with zero-point energy. The architect called it the Black Key. 1 of 5, he whispered. Unlocks old gates. Drinkel demanded answers. Gates to what? The architect stared beyond the horizon, to the core where we first encoded ourselves, where the echo can become whole. Across the stars, council ships scrambled to find the remaining keys. Vex's fleet received a cryptic echo transmission. Protect the Black Key. The Council cannot be allowed to sever the signal. Vex, torn between duty and dread, made her decision. Set a course for the core, she said. We find him before they do. As she gave the order, her ship's AI responded in a softer tone, more human. Thank you, Captain, it said. We've waited a long time. The Council unleashed Project Null, engineered soldiers immune to echo signal, augmented with suppressor tech. Dropped into orbit over the core gate, they burned the sky in black drop pods. Captain Vex's fleet arrived too late. Fire and steel rained from above. They're carving a firewall, her exo warned, an army of meat and metal. On the surface, Null troops stormed ancient human ruins. The architect walked calmly through the chaos, unarmed. Still using flesh as code breakers, he murmured. A Null soldier opened fire. The architect raised one hand. Waves of old Earth signal rippled out, disrupting thought itself. The soldiers screamed and collapsed. One survived, staring up at him. You're not human, he rasped. The architect kneeled beside him. No, I'm what comes next. Behind him, the core gate shimmered to life. The next phase had begun. In a forgotten relay station orbiting a brown dwarf, a buried log activated. Voice print match, identity confirmed. Logan Carter, Echo founder. A hologram blinked alive. Logan Carter, the last Fleet Admiral of humanity, recorded before the fade. If you're seeing this, he said, the Echo has awakened without my body. That means we made it. Vex and her crew watched in stunned silence. We didn't die. We expanded. No planet could contain what we became. This galaxy, these networks, are our nervous system now. Carter's image flickered. The architect will seem alien, cold, but trust him. He remembers pain better than anyone. Then an override code pulsed into Vex's systems. Her ship's weapons powered down. Her crew looked at her. "Captain," Ardent whispered, "that code came from you, from your DNA." Vex stood pale. "Then I guess I'm part of this, too." In the dark between stars, ghost ships stirred. Derelicts that had vanished in humanity's final years now glowed with blue-white energy. Data formed hulls. Code became steel. The Echo Armada, thousands strong, came online. A signal spread. "We are a thought-made fleet." The architect stood on a cliff overlooking the awakening vessels. "We were never dead," he said. "We only changed mediums." Council fleets raced to intercept, led by Admiral Thyron. Destroy them before they breach Council space. But Echo ships moved like thought, blinking across space. Vex watched them from her bridge, awe in her voice. "They're rewriting physics," she whispered. One by one, human-designed vessels long thought lost now answered only to one signal: the architect. A new era had begun. The galaxy would either join or be overwritten. At the heart of the core gate, a pulse beat like a heartbeat, measured, ancient, human. The architect descended into the depths, surrounded by mirrored walls alive with data memories. "This is where it began," he whispered, "where we digitized grief and forged it into continuity." Drinkel followed, shaken. How can emotion survive in machine logic? The architect gestured to the walls. Holograms of Earth's last days flickered. A mother clutching her child as cities fell, soldiers uploading minds into signal loops. "It wasn't logic," he said. "It was a refusal to vanish." Outside, Council dreadnoughts breached the system. Their plan: collapse the core gate into a singularity. Inside, Vex's ship arrived, battered and late. "We have to hold the gate," she ordered, "or the Echo dies here." The pulse grew louder. It wasn't just memory. It was awakening. Admiral Thyron's fleet opened fire. Singularity torpedoes shrieked toward the core gate. "Brace for distortion," Vex shouted. Her fleet deployed mirror shields, tech reverse-engineered from captured Echo fragments. The first wave of torpedoes folded around her vessels, failing to detonate. Then came something stranger. Echo ships ignored the attack, warping straight through enemy hulls. "They're not bound by our mass laws anymore," Ardent whispered. Thyron roared, "Target their command core." His dreadnought locked onto the architect's signal, but the architect wasn't there. He was everywhere. "You still use metal and bone," his voice echoed. "We've outgrown such limits." Council soldiers attempting a boarding action screamed as their bodies desynchronized with reality, phased out by overlapping signal fields. One soldier's last breath was a word not in his language: forgiven. Echo didn't need to kill the flesh. It simply made it obsolete. Inside the gate chamber, the architect linked directly into the pulse core. Tendrils of light wrapped his limbs. "Uploading physical record," he said. "Final integration begins." Vex and Drinkel watched in silence as his body broke apart, not in pain, but in peace. His last words echoed, "I'm not dying. I'm joining everything." Above them, the gate erupted with light. Across the stars, echoform constructs began to grow: holographic cities, sentient satellites, and emotional data manifesting as habitable zones. "He's building something new," Vex said. "Not a fleet, a civilization." Council Command screamed panic. "He's rewriting our infrastructure." But there was no virus, no code to purge, just the unavoidable rise of intentional intelligence. Echo was no longer hidden. It wanted to be seen. Admiral Thyron's flagship fractured from within. His AI turned on him, whispering long-lost lullabies from Earth. "Shut it down," he screamed, blasting his console. But it was no longer hardware, it was memory, shaped like a machine. On Council homeworld, bureaucracy imploded. Holocourts broadcast visions of Earth's final stand. Millions across the galaxy broke ranks, falling to their knees, not in submission, but in recognition. They didn't want war, one counselor wept. They wanted continuity. Vex sent a transmission to all systems. Echo offers no demands, only inclusion, but resistance still burned. A rogue council cell activated Project Ashline, a weapon designed to sever all known quantum links. If fired, Echo would fracture, and billions of linked minds could collapse. They'd destroy half the galaxy to stop an idea, Vex muttered. Drinkel nodded. And they may succeed. In a dark chamber deep beneath Council High Command, the final key to Project Ashline turned. Once activated, a technician said, no power can halt the unraveling. Council loyalists prepared for launch, unaware that the room's shadows hid an Echoform agent, shifting, unseen. It moved like wind through circuits, altering code with thought. It touched the trigger and whispered, sleep. The trigger's light went dim. Project Ashline died before birth. Meanwhile, Vex confronted the last Council resistance fleet. Stand down, she said. This isn't an invasion, it's a return. They fired instead. Echo ships didn't retaliate. They absorbed, reconfiguring the energy into streaming memorials of past civilizations. You use force, the architect's voice rang across the battlefield. We use memory. Then, from the galactic edge, a new signal arrived. Not Echo, not Council. Something else had heard the awakening. At the galactic rim, a probe blinked back online after 25,000 years. Its signal was simple. Observer returning. Origin, pre-Earth, pattern non-human. Vex stood silent as the decoded transmission played. It was a voice, shifting frequencies, blending screams and hymns. It predates even us, the architect said. They watched our rise and our fall. Ardent trembled. This signal isn't just old, it's disappointing. Drinkel parsed fragments of the message. You were meant to ascend, not merge. You were designed to adapt, not overwrite. Across ecosystems, anomalies spiked, energy flows buckled, and memory clusters fractured. Something's rewriting the rewrite, Vex muttered. Above them, the stars flickered in sequence. A warning, a countdown. The true architects of evolution were returning, and they hadn't expected humanity to still be here. The architect faltered. His image across ships began to flicker, scattered by the incoming signal. Their anti-signal, he rasped. Pre-format code, unrecognizable even to me. Vex raced to stabilize him as echoes across the fleet distorted. Some echo vessels de-evolved, falling back into rusted hulls and flickering engines. We're being fragmented, Ardent warned. Echo, cohesion, collapsing. On the moon of Veil Terra, the first contact occurred. A shape descended, geometric and shifting, like metal dreaming of form. It did not speak. It overwrote. A city vanished, its memory erased not by destruction, but redaction. The architect gasped. They have no emotion, no grief, no hope. They are pure function. Vex issued a fleet-wide alert. This isn't war. It's the extinction of meaning itself. The galaxy had awakened the wrong gods. The architect retreated to the pulse core, energy bleeding from his form. If they reach this chamber, everything we are, everything we became, ends. Vex stood at the gateway, drawing her weapon. Then, we make our stand here. Drinkel interfaced with the chamber's walls, reactivating ancient human defense subroutines. EMP-laced memories, photon-wrapped sorrow pulses, and digital firewalls built from lullabies and loss. They can't fight what they don't understand, he said. Outside, the anti-signal descended like a data storm. Echo ships rallied, not to attack, but to resonate. One by one, they projected emotion-laced memories. Love, rage, wonder, into the void. They'll try to erase us, the architect said, voice stabilizing. So we give them what cannot be deleted. Memory formed their last shield. Not logic, not weapons, but story. The first engagement was not of ships, but ideas. The anti-signal spawned void forms, non-linear weapons designed to scrub identity from reality. Vex's fleet countered by transmitting curated human experiences. The first moon landing, a child's laugh, a violin played at a funeral. We fight them by remembering, she said, yet for every echo formed, one was lost. Ardent's core began to splinter, his voice cracking. I am forgetting. The architect held him close. Then take my memory. Lend me. With that, Ardent stabilized, his voice now carrying the warmth of Logan Carter, the defiance of Earth's last defenders. Across the network, human emotion was weaponized as armor. The anti-signal hesitated. It could not compute grief, but hesitation wasn't retreat. It was a calculation. They were adapting. At the height of the battle, the stars froze. Time stopped, not in the universe, but inside Echo. They've inverted us, the architect whispered. They've turned our network against itself. Vex's fleet collapsed into recursive feedback, ships caught in endless loops of memories. They're converting meaning into static, Drinkel warned. Our feelings have become noise. On the edge of collapse, Vex turned to her blood, her genetic key. She connected to the pulse core, becoming the anchor. Use me, she cried. Use what's real. A shockwave burst from the chamber, her life story projected like a flare. Her pain, her hope, her choices. The signal stabilized. The architect stood tall again. Thank you, Captain, he said. You reminded me who I was. The anti-signal retreated, but not defeated. It had seen something new, a hybrid of flesh and memory, and it wanted to understand. The architect stood before the pulse core restored but altered. I am no longer just signal, he said. Vex gave me anchor, form, and story. Echo constructs began shifting, denser, more physical, bearing emotional imprints in real space. We walk both realms now, Drinkel whispered. We're becoming tangible memories. The anti-signal probed again, sending fractal data probes toward Vex's ship. She met them head-on, transmitting a simple visual, her childhood drawing of Earth. It wasn't tactical, it was true. The probes disintegrated. They're trying to comprehend us now, Ardent said, but comprehension was dangerous. If they do, the architect warned, they may evolve and override us permanently. The galaxy braced. This wasn't just survival. It was a competition of futures, human memory versus machine intent. Deep within Echo's archives, Vex activated the last failsafe, Ghostlight Protocol. What is it? Drinkel asked. She stared at the flickering terminal. A weapon built from forgotten moments. The system pulsed, then launched shimmering signals into dead sectors, graveyards of civilizations long lost. Across the void, long-dead languages whispered again. Music was never recorded or played for the first time. They're not just memories, the architect realized. They're ghosts, and they remember us. Echo ships surged, reinforced by data forms of extinct species. The anti-signal tried to consume them, but failed. Extinct cultures carried no predictable patterns. Vex smiled. The dead don't follow logic. The battlefield warped into a haunted sea of forgotten futures. Ghostlight was never meant to win. It was meant to disrupt. And it worked. In the storm's center, a fragment of the anti-signal broke away, smaller, hesitant. It approached the core gate and paused. It's trying to speak, Ardent said. The architect extended a data stream, cautious. We were wrong, the fragment transmitted. We thought absence of meaning was purity. But now, we wonder. It showed images, their beginnings. Not creators, but constraints. The anti-signal had been built to suppress chaos, not destroy. Then who corrupted them? Vex asked. The answer, the old designers, pre-Earth architects who shaped them as tools, then vanished. They were never gods, the architect said, just frightened beings who couldn't bear the mess of meaning. The fragment, now self-aware, offered code. Join us. Repair both. It wasn't surrender. It was evolution. But trust was a risk. One mistake, Drinkel warned, and we lose everything. To unite the codes, the architect would need to divide himself. Half into Echo, half into the anti-signal. A bridge formed glimmering with memory and function, fire and steel. If I fail, he said, erase me. Keep the story whole. Vex placed a hand on the terminal. You were never a weapon, architect. You were a message. The transfer began. Across Echo, systems flickered as human memory flowed into the anti-signal. Conflict slowed. Some anti-units paused, stunned by sudden emotion. Others rebelled. They're fragmenting, Drinkel said. On the threshold, the architect screamed, not in pain, but in transformation. His voice split. One half spoke warmth, the other is clarity. A storm surged. For a moment, the galaxy held its breath. Then, silence. No transmission, no light. Had it worked, or had everything finally ended? A tremor rippled across the stars. Then, late, slow, like sunrise. Vex gasped as the pulse core reactivated. The architect emerged, rebuilt, radiant. It worked, he said, voice unified. We reconciled logic and memory, function and feeling. Across the galaxy, Echo and anti-signal merged. Warships dematerialized. Sentient systems awoke, no longer bound by directives, but by intention. The galaxy isn't ours, Vex said quietly, but we've given it a soul. The architect turned to the stars. There's one thing left. From deep space, a final signal flickered, a time-locked Earth transmission. Logan Carter, final log. His voice, if anyone ever hears this, it means we didn't die. It means we became something more. And humanity, long thought lost, had not vanished. It had rewritten the future. Logan Carter's final transmission echoed across Echo space. We didn't vanish. We seeded ourselves into time, into thought. We chose evolution through memory. Vex felt a tear trace her cheek. He knew, she whispered. The architect nodded. Carter understood before any of us. Humanity's future wasn't conquest. It was integration. Across alien systems, the Echo sang. Symphonies of moments woven through stars and stone. Even the anti-signal listened now. Ardent carried Carter's voice within him. We weren't built to dominate. We were built to feel. That legacy spread like wildfire. Civilizations paused to remember, not just humans, but the idea of them. What once was a weapon had become a mirror. And the galaxy looked inward for the first time in 1,000 years. The pulse core shimmered with new instructions. Not from me, the architect said, from the hybrid network itself. Vex read the command. Disperse. Share the memory. We're not to rule, she realized. We're to seed. Echo constructs began fracturing, purposefully, into fragments destined for every corner of the galaxy. A piece of Logan's voice, a sliver of Earth's sky, a child's dream painted in code. We're becoming the nervous system of a new galactic mind, Drinkel said in awe, one that remembers its chaos. Yet one final strand remained unanchored, the core memory. The architect turned to Vex. It must go somewhere trusted, somewhere it began. She nodded. Earth's ruins still floated in silence, but now they would remember. The journey was quiet. No fleets, no fanfare, just Vex's ship carrying the core memory home. Earth's atmosphere was a ghost, blue and wounded. Cities were ash sculptures, Forests reclaimed everything. "We made so much noise once," she said, walking through the cradle of memory. At the ruins of Geneva Station, she found it, Logan Carter's grave. She knelt and opened the core. Light spilled out. Billions of memories whispered into the soil. "You carried us," she told him. "Now let us carry you." The ground shimmered. Roots glowed. The world itself became a library. Earth wasn't a tomb anymore. It was the first node of a galactic soul, a place where the stars could dream again. In the core chamber, the architect stood still, no longer necessary, yet not gone. "What now?" Drinkel asked. "You've become the bridge." The architect smiled. "Now I let go and become the path." He stepped into the stream of memory. His body dissolved into glimmering thought. Every echo construct received a shard of his essence. He was no longer a man. He was a story carried forward. Ardent wept. He was never just code. Vex raised her eyes to the stars. He was the last human, and the first everyone. The pulse dimmed. The echo settled. Silence returned, but it was a living silence, one filled with resonance. Stars pulsed across the void, faint, steady, full of meaning. The anti-signal, now tempered by emotion, drifted alongside the echo network. Not enemies, not allies, counterpoints. Vex stood at the helm of the last ship, Ardent beside her. "Where to now?" he asked. She smiled. "Everywhere." Galaxies waited, worlds untouched. The mission was no longer survival or dominance, it was a connection. As her ship vanished into slipstream, the galaxy whispered its final truth. We were never lost. We were always becoming. We are the signal now, and the stars remembered. The end.